right. Hi. So, have you ever wondered about the differences between channeling or trance or possession? These concepts, these words, these ideas are oftentimes used. Sometimes people use them interchangeably, and they're actually not. They're three very different kind of phenomena. And they show up in various ways. In one, our own spiritual journey, and then two, as we interact and embark or engage with other people, kind of like in this larger spiritual community. One of the beautiful things about the day that we live in now, right? The Facebooks, the YouTubes, the Instagrams, the TikToks, all of this stuff, is that there is so much information out there. The downside to that is that there's so much information out there, right? People can get on here and say anything and do anything, and it can go viral. And I am often conflicted with the information and the way that things are presented. And so I was inspired to kind of do this video. One, because I saw something. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, right? We're not going to promote someone else's foolishness. But I saw something that really made me just say, okay, let me just give a really kind of big overview of what's happening when we're talking about channeling, possession, and trance. All right. So that's what we are talking about today. All right. So welcome. This is Soul Aligned Living. I am Dr. Latoya Davis, and I am so excited that you are here and that I am here to share information, energy, and time and space with you today. I mentioned going to be looking at channeling, trance, and possession, and what we are looking at specifically is kind of what those things are on an individual level, how they show up, and then some tips on, kind of how you can start to integrate some of those, if you choose, into your, again, kind of spiritual growth and journey. All right. So let me just start by saying that I do all of them, right? I am a channel. I am able to say induce, carry possession, and I go into trance. They're all used differently. They all serve a very different purpose. And the information and the type of information that comes through in each of those ways and capacities are very different. Now, the reality is, I probably would say that, I had a session a few weeks ago, and the lady asked me at the end of the session, she was like, if you don't mind me asking, how did you know that you were able to receive information, right? It was an Akashic record session. And after the session, she was like, how do you know that you were able to receive information? Like, when did this start for you? And, I told her, well, really, as a child, what happened was I would touch people and I would get information about people that I didn't really like, right? It's like you touch your friend and you thinking, haha, kiki. And then I see all of this like backstory and stuff that's happening at home. And as a child, it was too much. And so I learned to kind of shield myself, and I really didn't touch, like I learned to kind of create this world and this narrative where I didn't really touch people. And that carried with me throughout my adult life, right? I still really don't engage in touch and like in a significant, substantial way, right? There are people that I will hug. I've learned to kind of, create shields and barriers. So now I don't have that same level of like information download through touch. But I bring this up to say, because that was my natural proclivity and my natural gift, that I learned to dampen and basically pray it away and was like, I don't want this. Spirit said, okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. We will figure out a different way to give you the same information. Okay, or we will figure out a different way to communicate with you, kind of what's happening with you and with the people around you and things like that. And so that is how my kind of journey into understanding channeling, trance, and possession, started. I really do believe that it was because I diminished or squashed one thing, and spirit was like, yeah, no, we're not letting you off the hook like that. Here's this other avenue, right? And then and it became possession. And then when I was like, no, I don't like this either, this is crazy, because it got out of control. But it was actually through more like spiritual development and growth then I started to become able to do trance, right? And then looking back, I've always been the channel. So I say that to say that everyone comes to this and comes to these different things differently. I do not think that it is something that is outside of the scope or realm of anyone, right? I don't think that everyone can do channeling, trance, and possession just kind of naturally, but study and intention, we could all get there. But I do believe that there is an aspect of this that is present within all of us. And it's really just a matter of coming into awareness and coming into knowing about it. All right, so let's begin. What is channeling? Channeling is the process where an individual known as a channeler, right, allows themselves to be a conduit for messages. That's it, right? The person, so here you would see me, look at me like this, right? Regular talking to you. And I open myself up to be a conduit to receive messages from another realm or another dimension. This could be spirit guides, this could be ancestors, this could be higher beings, this could be, galactic forces. It could be anything. Any energy that is not attached to and walking into this 3D plane, right? And by this 3D plane, I mean this is the people that we can touch, see, feel, right? Experience kind of in this world in a bodily form. Okay. So a channel is just, or channeling is just receiving, allowing yourself to be receptive to receive messages and information that is coming from a space that is beyond this kind of 3D dimension and realm. Okay. The channeler, someone who is channeling, remains completely conscious. So again, me in this moment, this would be an example of someone channeling. If you've come to any of my classes or you've done maybe like group coaching or something with me, it is not uncommon for me to kind of switch and start to channel messages, right, from particular energies or sources. Okay. So channeling, I'm talking to you just as natural as this is, right? If I didn't say this is such and such, you might not ever know that that's how I'm receiving messages. Common people or current people who channel right now are Erin Lyons, who I love. She is a channel, right? So you watch her, she's talking, and the messages are coming. I don't know if I was going to say Esther Abraham Hicks, but I actually don't know if I've never seen her. Like I've never seen her receive information, so I actually don't know if she's a channel or if she's in trance. Because I've never seen it, so I don't know. I think she considers herself a channel though. But basically, someone who remains conscious is fully aware of everything that's going around them. That's the biggest thing. Someone who's channeling, they're fully aware of everything that's happening, right? They're completely conscious and they're just allowing themselves to be the medium for which information is flowing through. Okay. Now, trance state involves an altered level of consciousness. Okay. People in trance may experience heightened focus or a deep meditative state. And trance states can occur or do occur typically like in shamanic practices or journeyings. People who go into kind of really, really deep meditative state, right? So we can intentionally put ourselves into trance through things like drum beats, you know, I can't think of what it is right now, but we can intentionally put ourselves into kind of these trance states, right? This is dropping. Essentially, we're dropping the kind of conscious mind, and we are dropping into these altered states of frequency. Okay, when we're in trance state, you're able to access information beyond your ordinary perception. Okay. So channel, you are being a conduit for something to drop information into you, and you are delivering that information out. Trance, you yourself are dropping into a different state. So you're kind of, again, releasing attachment and mental connection and mental space in this 3D realm. You are moving to a different state of consciousness. And in this different state of consciousness, you are now able to perceive information that is outside of the normal scope of perception. Okay. And then possession occurs when an external spirit or entity takes control of the body and actions. Okay. Possession can be voluntary. And this is what we see in like certain religious rites or religious rituals, or it can be involuntary. Right. And this is oftentimes where we get the negative kind of connotation. Right. This is when we hear people talk about like exorcisms or that's extreme. Right. But involuntary is where the person is not a willing conduit to this other energy kind of infiltrating into their body. Oftentimes that involuntary one can happen, again, if people have been dealing with some type of mind altering drugs or something like that, right? Because it already kind of puts the defenses down, but that's the so we're not going to go into that. And that's not the only reason. That's not the only reason. There are a multitude of reasons of why it can be involuntary. But possession can be voluntary and involuntary. And again, what happens here is now the person does not have control. Okay? The person does not have control. They have used their whole body as the medium for this external energy to come in and present. Okay? Channeling, they're using your voice. You're receiving the information through the mind and you're using the voice. Trance, you yourself are now kind of going out into this field and pulling down the information. And possession, you have relinquished the use of your physical body for this energy to come in and align with you and give messages and information. Now, channeling all of these things have been around forever, right? None of this is new. And depending on your religious beliefs and depending on your cultural and spiritual backgrounds and identities, these things could have shown up in various ways, right? If you are, I was about to go into this whole thing about speaking in tongues, but I won't. Just know that they are, because I'm trying to keep these videos under 20 minutes. And so in order for me to kind of get to the next part, I'm going to have to move through them a little bit quicker. And maybe I will do, if you all are interested in this, I can do another video later that kind of looks at each one a little bit differently. So why I'm bringing this up. Trance is one that we can all do, right? Really, again, kind of going into that meditative state. You can use things like frequencies to help you to drop into that really deep meditative state. Dr. Joe Dispenza has a lot of meditations. I'm trying to think of what he calls it. It's like outer space, or I can't think of what it's called. But he does one, Dr. Joe Dispenza and Silva Technique are two really, really good people if you're looking for somebody to kind of help you get into that altered state where you were able to drop yourself and kind of repeatedly drop yourself into this state of trance, right? Their trainings and their teachings do that really, really well, okay? The beautiful thing about being in the state and being able to kind of drop yourself into the state of trance is that you are able to, again, kind of in this field, you become connected to the field of oneness, right? Where kind of all things are there and possible, and all of the information and all of that stuff is there. And so you're able to really get a heightened level of, or an elevated, I don't know which word I want to use. You're able to receive information at this higher consciousness level, right? Devoid of the judgment and the ego and the limiting beliefs and all of those things that we kind of have running through our mind. Okay. You can also go into trance state just by doing something repetitively, right? So you all know I dance, right? And one of the things that I do traditional, I study African diasporic dance forms, right? And one of the things that happens in that is like there can be this looping of just the same steps, the same patterns, the same rhythm, the same songs. Like, and what's happening is that repetitiveness that takes you out of the thinking mind, right? It puts you into this loop, and then eventually a fervor comes up, and then you can come into trance state in that particular type of way as well. Channeling, writing, I always suggest automatic or free writing, right? Free writing is a wonderful way, and automatic writing is a wonderful way to channel information. So channeling can come through me talking, or it can come through me writing, right? So the one of the ways that I like to talk about channeling or free writing or automatic writing is that you ask a question. What is a behavior that I need to release right now? Right. What is a pattern? I mean, what is a pattern that I'm currently engaging in that is limiting my ability to reach my goals? Okay, that's my question. So I'm going to hold that question in my mind. Sometimes I write the question on the top of the paper, right? And in free writing or automatic writing, the goal is to not question, censor, second guess. We're not worried about punctuation. We're not worried about any of that stuff. Because what happens here again is as you get into the practice and the flow of just allowing whatever comes up to comes in, eventually the thinking mind shuts off, pushes itself to the back, and that higher spiritual knowledge drops in. And now that's the information that you're receiving. And so the longer you write, if you ever do this, you'll notice in the beginning, right? The writing feels and seems like you. The farther down into the writing you go, the farther down when you go back and read it, you can see a shift, right? And that shift is often the difference between when the thinking mind was there, present, engaged, trying to hold it all together, right? And when that aspect of you left and that higher consciousness came in. So that's us channeling information. I do not suggest that you try possession without study or without training or without someone that is there to help you understand what's happening, to kind of bring you back, right? Possession is a much larger thing that you have to, not, I don't want to say have to, is a much larger thing that requires a level of skill so that you can remain safe, right? So that everyone around can remain safe. Now, this is where I want to get to. As a channel, as someone who goes into trance, as someone who goes into possession, I want to give this at my, what is it? Caveat. I want to give this caveat. People be lying, right? People be lying. Not everybody is real. Not everything is real. Use your discernment, right? Use discernment. That's just all I got. Use discernment, right? Even when something is coming through a channel or when something is coming through trance, it is still coming through that person's physical. It is coming through the conduits. It still has to be filtered through that conduit's physical kind of knowing and being, right? And sometimes people can use the ability to slightly shift into some of these states, right? Because there's to slightly shift into some of these states and then use that as a mechanism to deliver false information, to hype themselves up, to do things that are just not in the best interest of those people that they are serving. And so I just want to say, use discernment when you are dealing with people who are saying that they're channeling or in trance or in possession. Um, go with people who other people can vouch for consistently, right? Not the one off, not the that these things consistently, these people have shown integrity. These people have been about the work, and most importantly, that the information that is coming and how it is coming is always in empowerment and in love, right? Nothing should be coming in a way that is trying to get you to relinquish your authority, put you in a space of servitude, or have you beholden to some concept or idea that is against anything other than empowerment and elevation. All right. So I'm at my 20 minutes. I hope that this was helpful. If you are interested in learning more about channeling, trance, and possession, let me know. And I will definitely love to do more videos kind of about it. I just wanted to give kind of this big overview, like I said, about the three different things and how they show up. All right. Have a great day. Thank y'all. Bye.
Are you recording another video?